Alright, so in this video I'm gonna be breaking down a couple of beats I made by sampling on Ableton Move, and we're also gonna be checking out some of the synth presets I used from my Drift Wave pack for Ableton Live. And the pack is now also compatible with Move. So for both beats I sampled some early 90s R&B songs by Shantae Moore, and to be quite honest, I only use Move here just because I get tired of looking at live on the computer all the time. But it's actually harder and more cumbersome to sample and chop on Move. But the limitations force me to focus on the musical ideas or whatever.
Brushing my hair from your eyes. Why do we give ourselves away?
After I record the sample to a pad, I set the transposition, filters, effects, envelopes, and then I copy the sample to other pads and mess around with the sample start to find cool bits to build my pattern around. So this pattern didn't really flow the way I would have liked, but you will see how I made it better after transferring the set to live on the computer. Now for the bass I used what's probably my favorite preset from the Drift Wave pack, and it's called Deep Funk. Now, one nice thing about sampling songs that were recorded in the digital era as opposed to the 60s and 70s is that it's usually easier to add your own parts around the sample. And this is probably due to the fact that it's less likely for these songs to be sort of in between keys. So this one was in F minor and I pitched it down one semitone, so the bass line in E minor sounded fine. Okay, so on to the next sound, and I added a rhythmic preset that I made with Drift, again from the Drift Wave pack that plays in sync with your beat. So it's great for playing chords with it, and you can change the timing with the macro knobs, but it's always synced. And even if it sounds a bit more electronic, you will hear how it makes sense in the context of the finished track. So at this point, I tried playing all sorts of leads and synths to add, and even though they worked sort of fine isn't good enough. When adding parts, I don't just want them to work, they have to excite me and make a meaningful contribution to the vibe of the track. And so I felt it was time to move away from Move, pardon the pun, and continue working on this idea on the computer. Now, first thing I did was separate the sample chops from the drums. As on Move, I usually use the same drum rack for drums and samples, just so I have 3 more tracks left for synths. Then I played around with the pattern of the chopped sample, moving notes around, changing starting points in the drum sampler, and I ended up with this, which I thought was way better. I also added some percussion, but I needed more parts, so I recorded a Rhodes part with one of the stock electric piano presets. And then I added a couple more synths from my own presets from the Drift Wave pack. This brass sound, this one that's inspired from retro video games, and unfortunately this one isn't available on the Ableton Move version of Drift Wave, only on the Ableton Live version because of the limitations of Move when it comes to what devices you can include in your presets. And also this spaced out sound effect. And also this lead that has the oscillators tuned a fifth apart sounded great for adding some transitions. And so here's what I had in the end. And to add some variety to the arrangement, at the end I even muted the sample in the last section and it still sounded cool. So if you have Ableton Move, or even if you don't have it, make sure to check out Driftwave from the link down in the video description. If you bought the pack before I added the Move compatible presets, you get them for free. Just log into your Gumroad account and re-download it from your library. So on to beat number 2 now, and it was pretty much the same process, so we're gonna go over it a bit quicker. Here's the song I sampled, again by the same artist Shante Moore, and I think this whole album was produced by George Duke, so it's pretty fire. This time I went with a more aggressive bass line, again with a preset from Driftwave. So here we are in live, and this time I bounced the sample chops to audio just so I could use the warping to sync them a bit better to the beat, which is really hard on Move with the lack of warping. But I'm not gonna lie, I used a lot of sidechain compression and a low-pass filter with LFO to mask the fact that the sample wasn't quite on beat. So it was a bit of a wonky beat, but that's how I like it. And I also sped the whole track up a bit and added a bright brass synth alongside the electric piano, just so I have more energy in the track. Alright, so let me know which beat you liked more, the first one or the second one, and check out the Driftwave pack from the link down in the video description. Getting it or any other pack is a great way to support the channel, but also a free way to support the channel is to just hit the like button, subscribe if you are new here, and thank you so much for watching everyone, and I will catch you later.